We have to wait another week, but we got plenty to talk about today on the Mike Missanelli Show. And there's a lot of people out there that are kind of dissecting whether this Eagles team is the best Eagles team ever, and it may very well be. When you look at the previous teams that have been to the Super Bowl, this Eagles team, I think, is a little more talented than any of those teams, which makes it this. It would be a damn shame if they didn't win with their best Eagles team ever. And so I'm zeroed in on them winning this Super Bowl. I know I've said in the past that if they lost to a better team, it wouldn't be devastating to me. It certainly would be disappointing if they lost the Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs. But I go, all right, Chiefs have a pedigree. But now that I'm really digesting the fact that this is the best Eagles team ever, they've got to win the Super Bowl. Really, how many times can you get into a Super Bowl where you say your team is the best team ever in Eagle history and not come away with a Super Bowl win? When you frame it that way, this is a must-win Super Bowl. So I'm kind of backing off my I wouldn't be disappointed, right? Because you make the case, you can really make a serious case that if you go through every position with this Eagles team and compare it to any other Eagles team, this is the most complete team they have ever had. And they have this coach who apparently is one of the best coaches ever because of what he's done. Bill Colarulo has made that case that what Sirianni has done, what Jalen Hurts has done, make them the best ever. And, Torrey Smith yesterday compared it to the 2017 team as a guy that played for a Super Bowl champion. And he said this team is better. So, Bill and Ray, who are here today with me on the Mike Missanelli Show, have you framed it that way at all?
As the best team in franchise history, you're saying, and whether or not they...
Well, first of all, let's answer that. Are they the best team in franchise history?
So I think this year's team is better than the team that went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I think this year's team is better than the team that won it all in 2017, mainly because that 2017 team was decimated by injuries all season with Jason Peters and Darren Sproles and then obviously Carson Wentz, and the list goes on and on. The only team that I would say would be arguable would have been the team that went in 2004. Because that 2004 team was unbelievable, man. We sometimes forget because we live too much in the moment. That 04 team with McNabb and Westbrook and T.O., and then they had a great offensive line with John Runyon and Trey Thomas as your tackles. And then on defense, you had Lito and Sheldon and B-Dawk and Trott, Javon Curse. Like, that was a really good football team. And they wasted that opportunity. So think about this.
I challenge that. Because you just brought Trey Thomas and John Runyon into the mix. Very good players. Are they Lane Johnson and Mailata? Let's compare. Can you make the case that Trey Thomas was as good as Mailata? At best, it's a push.
At best, it's a push.
And Lane Johnson, all due respect to John Runyon, who I love, Lane Johnson's better than John Runyon.
Lane Johnson is better than John Runyon. But my point is, it was a good offensive line.
Yeah, but it wasn't as good as this offensive line, which is the essence of a team, right?
You had Artis Hicks and Jermaine Mayberry starting in that Super Bowl.
It's not even close at guard.
No, Dickerson and Mekhi Becton, you got to give a lot of credit to Howie and Jeff Stoutland for converting him to a guard. And then at center, you had Hank Fraley, Cam Jurgens. So this offensive line's better. This receiving core is better. Saquon, as much as I love Brian Westbrook, Saquon's doing things we've never seen before. But that was a good team. I mean, when we talk about complementary football, the 04 team, they finished, if I'm not mistaken, identical in terms of offensive rank and defensive rank. They had the number 8 offense that year. Well, the Eagles this year were number 7. And they had the number 2 defense in terms of points against, and this year, number 2 in terms of points against. So it was a very similar team.
So you don't buy into the fact that this is the best team ever, therefore they shouldn't win the Super Bowl.
Well, no. So here's my point with it.
Uh-huh.
This is why I will be devastated if they don't win. Because if you go back to that 2004 team, as good as they were, they come up short against the Patriots, even though the Patriots were on the ropes in that game. They didn't play great. And you're thinking, all right, well, maybe they'll get back. That team never got back, ever. So as good as it was, it fell apart the next season with Terrell Owens. Things started to fall apart with Donovan McNabb. Eventually, you got to fire Andy Reid. So as good and young as this year's team is, because they're young, there's no guarantee about what happens next year or the year after. So that's why when you have as good of a team as the Eagles have right now, and you have this opportunity in front of you, you have to win it. You have to.
So now I'm going to make the case on why the Eagles should win it by looking at the matchup problems that the Chiefs are going to have that I was reading about last night and this morning. First of all, Spags has to put an extra man in the box. I mean, is there any question that he – and they do stop the run pretty well, okay? So how do they stop it? He's been very creative in creeping guys up. And he also will employ – remember that old wide nine that the Eagles employed? But who is
Washburn.
Jim Washburn was the author of the wide nine. He's going to have to go wide to keep Saquon from getting to the edge. But now Saquon makes a lot of plays inside. So, in other words, he's got to go wide and yet load a box, which is going to be difficult, right? Because that's going to spread you out a little bit. Now, also, this Chiefs team is not that explosive offensively. We've talked about this before. They're just not. They're not going to be a team that's going to run up the scoreboard. They've got their wide receivers. Somehow they make it work with mediocre wide receivers. They've got Juju Smith-Schuster. They've got Hollywood Brown, and they've got a washed-up Hopkins.
And Xavier Worthy, the rookie.
And Xavier Worthy, who's been actually pretty good for them. But they're not that explosive, right? They're 15th in the NFL in scoring. The Eagles are 7th in the NFL in scoring. So, by rights, with the defense the Eagles have against the 15th ranked offense in scoring, the Eagles being 7, the Eagles have a decided edge there.
You would think so, but you just never know with Mahomes. But you're spot on. Like, the team that beat the Eagles in 2022 was the number one offense. The Kansas City Chiefs were number one in terms of yards, in terms of points. That's not what they are this year. You're spot on with it. They hadn't scored more than 30 points until last week against the Buffalo Bills. So this Eagles defense that has been so good since the bye week, you never know with Mahomes, but I would give the advantage to this Eagles defense.
I don't think there's any question that the Eagles can. Look, when you look at it, can the Chiefs score 30 points against the Eagles?
I'd be shocked if that happened.
Exactly. The Eagles will score 27.
You would expect them to. Yeah, you would expect them to because, look, the Chiefs' defense has been good. I mean, they're only giving up 19 points a game on the regular season. That's number 4 in the NFL. But everything you're saying about what Spagnuolo is going to try to do with the wide nine and bringing an extra guy down, 20 other teams, well, not 20 because they play the same team twice a couple times, but like over 15 other teams knew they got to try to stop Saquon, and they couldn't.
But some teams are craftier than others. When you have a crafty defensive coordinator who changes it up and adjusts all the time, it's going to be a little harder. So I'm going to give them credit because they know how to win. Like, they're not going to let a team just win on them. You're going to have to earn it. But, again, we're back to the premise. Like, I can't get rid of this in my head. If this is the best Eagles team ever and they don't win the Super Bowl, I've now changed my mind. It would be devastating. Really, I can't get around it. This is the best Eagles team. If you don't win the Super Bowl with the best team ever, it's got to be devastating, right? Because can you get any better than that? Are you going to be better than this team? Maybe you have a chance to be better than this team. But right now, if you're measuring it in real time, this is the best Eagles team ever. And you're going to tell me they're not going to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, because your reasoning before today was always, well, if you lose to the Chiefs, you're losing to the Chiefs.
Yeah,
but when you look at it this way, you're right.
I know there's intangibles. I know the Chiefs know how to win. But let's play with that premise a little bit because it's logical. You know, I always go logic. To me, it's illogical to say, well, if this is their best team ever, they don't win with this team, they'll never win. All right, here's how you get in. 610-632-0975. 610-632-0975. It is the Mike Missanelli Show with Bill, with Ray. We're back after this.
Tyrone. Hey, everybody, it's Bill Colarulo. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you can engage during the show, and you're not going to want to miss all the content that we post. It's not only the live videos, it's videos after the fact. It's our shorts. It's all the content you want as a Philadelphia sports fan. Looking forward to connecting.